all that grab my helmet stuff.
That's it?
It's easy in high school, but in college, I'm a grown man. So if you can whoop me, then you put your paws on me. But if you better respect my space. You can yell all you want, but all that touching stuff is over. They got some paws put on it.
Yeah. Pause.
Night.
Who coached you in college, Bart?
Oh, you want me to call his name? I was about to go put to sleep. Where the camera at? Michael Vite. And he knows if I see him in the street today, it's going to be a rematch.
Well, we all have one guy like that. I'll throw mine out. Mine was Jeff Gray.
Well, stop using full names.
He did.
No.
That guy's a coach.
Look him up.
He wasn't a good guy.
Google him.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Hey,
smack him in his
so
hand.
now I'm stressed out, Nick. Here we go. Another year, another Aaron Rodgers weapon leaving Green Bay. Last year, it was Jordy Nelson heading to Oakland. This year, it's Randall Cobb going to Dallas. As far as Cobb goes, after 8 seasons together, the two became good friends, and it's hard saying goodbye to your good friends. Rodgers echoing my thoughts on his Instagram last night. He said, I have to remind myself that some birds aren't meant to be caged, and when they fly away, the part of you that knows it was a sin to lock them up does rejoice. Still, the place you live in is that much more drab and empty that they're gone. I guess I just miss my friend.
A little Shawshank line.
A little Shawshank line. Bart, what do you make of everything the Packers have done this offseason?
Well, I think they're starting to recognize that Aaron Rodgers, even though he is the best quarterback in the league, mobile, he's like a blend of a mobile quarterback and a pocket quarterback, they have to get him more protection. And, you know, so letting Cobb go, he hadn't had 70 receptions in the last couple of seasons. You have to go out and get a cheaper version. They have 2 first-round draft picks. He wasn't healthy much of last season, and the year before that broke the collarbone. So now they have to start running the ball with Aaron Jones more, protecting him, and playing stout defense where he doesn't have to carry the team and do everything. So they go out and they get the Zadarius Smith, they go out and get Preston Smith, try and get Mike Pettin some weapons so that they can win ugly games. So you only need Aaron Rodgers to win you maybe 2 or 3 games where he has to be special, where he has to try and go throw for throw, play for play against maybe a Tom Brady or one of these upper echelon types.
As opposed to the last couple of years where you were asking him to go in at the end and win almost everything.
Right, because you look at their defense was 22nd overall. That's not good enough. So if you get that defense down to maybe top 10, maybe 12, 13, then that's asking them less. Then you can win by running the football and throwing the ball. You see this happen with Drew Brees, you know, trying to win ugly. And you see that that's how they're trying to support older quarterbacks now, because he is still a bad man, but you know that clock is ticking, and he's really, truly your franchise, and he hasn't been healthy the last couple of seasons.
And Liz, you mentioned a couple of first-round draft picks. I wouldn't be surprised if they spend one of those first-round draft picks on a wide receiver. There's the kid Akeem Butler, who is going to be, I think, at the very least, an excellent red zone threat in the league. There are other guys that Metcalf, you could get. DK Metcalf, who is a combine freak. I don't know how he's going to translate to the NFL level, but regardless, they're going to have options there with one of those 2 picks. But the idea that we know that the Packers have been just a disaster when Aaron Rodgers has missed any time. And what they're trying to do is not build a team that is okay without him, but a team that when he's out there, they can win through, like you mentioned, their defense. That is maybe more situated for the division they're in and the weather in that division that they're in. When they're going to have to go through the Bears. You don't have to beat the Bears in a shootout, right? But can your defense... I thought the Zadarius Smith pickup was an excellent one. Preston Smith, I wasn't as high on as that one, but that is where they're spending their money. And Randall Cobb had an awesome first game of the year last year. And they didn't have a single game with more than 45 yards. I liked the pickup for Dallas because of the upgrade over Cole Beasley. But for the Packers to save the money there, I understand it. He still has his #1 receiver, Devontae Adams. We'll see what else they add. Equanimous St. Brown was coming into his own a bit at the end of last year. They spent a bunch of mid- and late-round picks on wide receivers the last few years. Like, that's the plan for the Packers moving forward, is to not have it be entirely reliant on Aaron Rodgers' right arm.
Once the Packers decided a couple years ago to invest in Devontae Adams, things changed as far as the receiving core. Jordy Nelson injured. They have off him last year. He ended up in Oakland this year. Cobb, they had to get off of him. He's not one of the premier guys for the number they're paying. So as far as him and Clay being able to move on, like, these were guys that were not performing at the salary that they were getting. So the Packers are doing the right things. They're starting to invest in their defense. They got to start having some balance.
2 corners last year drafted.
Yes, and this is one of the few offseasons they have actually participated in free agency. So they're actually, this is one of the richest franchises because the way it's run, the revenue streams and everything, tremendous. But they don't spend money in free agency. So I believe that now you can start to see some changes in the front office. And also, from an offensive standpoint, the reason why they hired Matt LaFleur was for him to create some of this offense with Aaron Rodgers. So you guys might be saying, yeah, they might draft some wide receivers. Young wide receivers do not do well with Aaron Rodgers. Just check the record. They do not do well. So depending on a guy in the first round, the second round, that he's going to come in and catch 80 balls or something like that, that's not what I'm depending on. What I'm depending on is the young offensive mind. He's going to bring out the best in Aaron Rodgers. Devontae Adams, I believe, will have the best year of his career. We're going to play some better defense because we need to be able to face up to these divisional opponents and the weather that we'll be facing. They're probably looking at maybe Chicago might be the team to beat.
Yeah.
So we need a more stout defense to be able to beat the Chicagos and the Minnesotas.
Well, and the other, when you mentioned the draft, last year in the draft, corners in the first two picks, and the year before they took safeties, or they took a safety and a corner, pardon me, both with 2 second-round picks. The year prior to that, they spent a first-round pick on Kenny Clark. Now they've spent 2 big free agent signings on defense. Like that, they've spent draft capital and free agent capital on defense. So whatever they do with those first-round picks, whether it's wide receiver or not, I would expect it.
For me, I think it's offensive line and maybe Jawan Taylor, because you have to protect him because he's been on the run, he's been injured, so now you have to protect him. Then you maybe get the receiver with the 30th pick, whichever one, somebody's going to fall.
So if you're a Packers fan looking forward to this season, tell me where you think the Packers could be. How much more work do they have to do to get themselves in a good position in that division?
They only have $15 million left on their cap space. They spent tremendous on Zadarius Smith, who's a guy who really people don't know. He played for the Ravens, and he had 10 sacks, but he was splitting time with T-Sizzle. You know, he's a guy that's ready to really emerge. You know, they tried to trade for him a couple of times. Now they finally got him. Mike Pettin, they've been making that transition to a 3-4. So now they have the lockdown corners. Now they have their bookend. Not one, they have 2 bookend type of pass rushers.
Yep.
You know, Preston Smith wasn't bought in for, I believe, his pass rushing ability. He was bought in to pretty much be Adelius Thomas, right? And Zadarius Smith is going to play the Terrell Suggs mode, meaning that he's going to be the guy that primarily rushes all the time.
Yes.
And Preston Smith is going to be the one who drops in coverage, blitzes, because he's more of a blitzer. So now Pettin has the weapons that he needs because he needs to be aggressive. But if you don't have the pass rushers, you put those corners on the island. And it's rare that you find a Revis, a Chris McAllister, a Samari Rowe, which what Mike Pettin is used to working with. He's trying to develop that. And
I think they believe their offense is going to get instantly better by having Matt LaFleur there. That's why they hired him. And by having Aaron Rodgers be healthy. Aaron Rodgers got hurt in the first game of the year last year, and to me, looked like he was dealing with it throughout the season. And then the other element is, what ruined the Packers last year? The inability to win on the road. If you remember last year, Rodgers talked about it after they got that comeback win, I think, over San Francisco. He said, man, we've got a tough stretch coming up. It's going to define our season. Does this defense put them in better position to travel and to win on the road?
Last thing, Jenna, he could have had some of his old buddies on the team, but Aaron Rodgers demanded being the highest paid. He didn't do like Tom Brady. You can keep some of them guys around, and you don't have to get on Instagram begging and crying and everything. But trying to be the highest paid, that's what it will get you.
Bart, we'll see you later in the show.
Get out the car.